Gervonta Tank Davis defends the WBA lightweight championship against WBA super featherweight champion Lamont Roach coming up in weight. First off, BT, Tank is a 25-1 underdog.
Or favorite.
Yeah, favorite. Excuse me.
Yeah.
25-1 favorite. This isn't that far off from Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas territory. And, I think Lamont Roach is going to need some help from Tank to pull off a Buster Douglas moment, meaning Gervonta Davis, who's been talking about retirement, who maybe it was his girlfriend or something, leaked him smoking weed, maybe out in Japan, or he's on an elevator smoking weed, smoking the blunt. And, if Tank has bullshitted this camp a little bit, if retirement and all this stuff really is starting to make him not want to fight and all that, and you got Lamont Roach on fire, that's the Douglas Tyson scenario. But short of that, and by the way, as I yesterday on the Porter Way, I said, look, Gervonta does everything better than him. They have a lot of similarities actually because they come from the DMV.
Same school.
Same school. They trust themselves in the pocket. They trust their timing, their counterpunching ability, and they trust their power. And so that's good. That makes this fight more intriguing than I originally gave it credit for. I came out, I said this fight's underwhelming. Tank needs to fight Shakur already, and all these, and I still feel that way. He does.
Yeah.
But once I sunk my teeth into this fight, just the fact that Roach, I think, is actually going to try to time Gervonta, actually try to punch with him in spots. Most guys aren't going to have the balls and the gumption to do that or the confidence to do that because of Tank's speed, power, and timing. All he's got to do is punch with him once and he gets the better of it, or you even land at the same time, but you go out. So yeah. I'm interested to see Roach do that. Roach is familiar with Tank from back in the days, and I think he's more of a 10 or 12-1 underdog than 25-1. It's still a huge underdog, but one fight stuck out to me from Gervonta when I was breaking down tape, and that's the Hector Garcia fight. If you take away the stoppage, they basically did the same thing against Hector Garcia. And actually, if you take away the stoppage, you could argue Lamont Roach was even more effective against Hector Garcia, because Hector Garcia, I'll get to that in a second, but Lamont Roach actually took Hector off his feet. Hector was taking the power of Gervonta Davis surprisingly well. Never technically went down in that fight, retired on his stool or quit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But that made me think, he's taking the power surprisingly well. Rolly Romero would always tell me, yes, Tank punches hard, but a big reason he's getting these knockouts is everyone's fucking weight drained. That's what Rolly always told me. And you never know. Fighters tell you things. You never know how much of it is, hey, is it sour grapes? Is it
their egos?
Huh?
Their egos.
Their egos. They have to rationalize why they lost. And then how much of it is, no, they're giving you insight. They're giving you the game. And so I thought about it, and I go, maybe Rolly's right, because Barrios, Ryan, Rolly, Frank Martin, in the case of Rolly and Frank Martin, they had tough weight cuts. They're big, strong lightweights. Barrios and Ryan had murderous weight cuts. I mean, they're really natural 140, I mean, Barrios is really a welterweight, killing himself to make 40. And Ryan had already fought at 40 and got down to 36 to make that money. So maybe there's something there, because Garcia took the punches better. So maybe Lamont Roach, who's actually going to be comfortable and strong at 135 pounds, maybe he takes the power a little bit better than we think he will. Couple that with him actually trying to time and punch with Tank. Couple that with Tank, if he's fucking off in camp and thinking of retirement too much, maybe a little Tyson-Douglas in the air. But
maybe.
But go ahead, BT. But I don't think that's the case. But actually, before I let you speak, though.
Go ahead.
But the Hector Garcia fight made me reassess the Shakur Stevenson fight a little bit, because I'm saying, yes, I'm getting killed yesterday, and everybody's mad because I'm saying Tank's a more complete fighter, right, than Shakur and Keyshawn for that matter. Why? Because I think they can go both. They can go both ways better. It's
the truth.
They can fight on the front foot better than Shakur, and they can approach and be comparable to a lot of his skills off the back foot. But Hector Garcia, a slick southpaw like Shakur Stevenson. Shakur's much better than him.
Yeah.
he was even with Tank basically through 7 or 8 rounds. He was touching Tank. He was countering him with the left hand over the top. He was taking the power well. And I started watching that fight and I said, man, if Shakur Stevenson is comfortable in there and the power doesn't make him jump out of range a lot and doesn't bother him, he can decisively beat Gervonta Davis by unanimous decision. However, then I went back. I said, let me see how he looked against Frank Martin, who's not as crafty as Hector Garcia, but is still an athletic southpaw with movement.
He's more explosive.
More explosive. Yeah, I think he's overall a tougher package at 35, but not as crafty as Hector Garcia. Bro, Tank, high guard, and front footwork got a lot better in
Yes,
just
sir.
a year and a half. When he was fighting out of the high guard against Hector Martin or Hector Garcia, he was, off balance when he let a left hand go sometimes. He was plodding forward and getting countered over his jab. Against Frank Martin, the high guard went from this to like this. He tightened it up. It was more of a force field, and his footwork on the front foot, he was cutting distance much quicker, and his footwork was just much better. His base was underneath him to punch a lot better on the front foot, and he was covering more ground while doing it. That made me think, okay, he still does have the edge over Shakur Stevenson. But anyways, what do you think? Yeah,
It's a great breakdown, Sean. Yeah, like Lamont Roach loves to fight in the pocket a lot, and Lamont Roach's money punch is the left hook. It was his money punch when he fought Hector Garcia, and it was his money punch in his last fight, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed his last fight against Fergal McCroy. I think he's going to look for that punch a lot, and I think there's going to be a lot of counter punching opportunities for Tank with his right hook and with his, if he slips to the outside, he can shoot the uppercut. If he slips to the outside, and I saw a video. I forgot where I saw it, but I saw a video where he was with Kenny Ellis, and they were working on like pivoting out in the pocket and then like shooting the uppercut. Like they'll pivot out to the
taking
left or
the
the right.
angle, back. Yeah,
Yeah, taking the angle, and what am I telling? The penitentiary. You shoot it in real tight. So I feel like on the inside, Lamont Roach, like he has the know-how, and he'll be able to deal with Tank early on. But then as the fight wears on, the dexterity and and Tank's ability to get underneath shots, this is what makes him dangerous against Lamont Roach. And not just Lamont Roach, but Shakur Stevenson as well. He can be right there in the pocket with you on his front foot, and he'll get underneath shots, and he'll catch you. He'll just time you. He'll time you with a shot. And so I think Lamont Roach's punch selection, his punch selection is normally like, jab, straight right hand to the body, left hook. That's generally his punch selection as far as
got
deep as
straight
it
right hand
goes.
up top too. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But normally he's throwing the straight right hand to the body to try to set up the left hook to the body or the left hook to the head. Because his money punch is the left hook. So he's trying to open up that punch as much as possible. And I think like everyone's picking Tank. We know Lamont Roach is a good fighter. Like I don't want to down Lamont Roach, make it sound like he's not a good fighter. He's a world champion. But in my opinion, they picked him for a reason. He's outgunned in every department.
He's
Everything
outgunned in every department.
everything Tank does well, or not Tank, Lamont does well, Tank does at a much higher level.
Yep.
So it's gonna like you said, he's gonna need Tank to have a letdown. I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think Tank is gonna have a letdown. I think Tank, he says these things about wanting to retire. He says these things about, wanting to leave the sport of boxing, but I don't think he's gonna have a letdown fighting his, fellow DMV, native. That's not gonna happen. I think Tank's gonna probably have one of his best performances because Lamont Roach isn't gonna have too much to give him to keep him off of him. There's not enough power. There's not enough dexterity in the punches. It's gonna get bad. Honestly, I think it's gonna get bad for him.
Primes last a significant time for any maybe great fighter to great fighter. The primes can be 10, 12 years. Peaks are something different. Peaks are short. They're 2 or 3 years. And what I saw in the Frank Martin fight, when I saw how much better he got since the Hector Garcia fight in a year and a half, was a fighter peaking.
Yeah.
And if this goes to script the way it probably should, with Tank looking like a 25-1 underdog, it's a shame.
Favorite.
Huh?
Favorite. You said underdog.
Favorite. I keep doing that. Thank you.
Yeah.
If the fight sticks to script, the shame is you only got so many peak fights in you in that 2 or 3 years, and you're using them against Frank Martin and Lamont Roach, and that's cool, but you should be fighting Shakur, possibly Keyshawn, Tio, blah blah blah, all the names that that's where these peak, because you're 30 now, and you're right at the age that Canelo was at when he had his peak at super middleweight,
Yeah.
and so it's a shame if this is a peak fight for Tank, and no offense to Roach, but it's kind of wasted on Lamont Roach. Um, yeah, man. So I got to see him and Shakur because I got the two big questions about them. Like, yeah, I saw him get better in the Frank Martin fight versus Hector Garcia, but still, how are you going to deal with a guy in Shakur who is sharper than you? They're both
Correct.
very sharp, but Shakur is a little bit more steak knife sharp with how the punch goes from point A to point B, especially straight line punches. And how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that frustration, not having your way? Do you get dirty? Do you get frustrated? Do you start opening up too much and getting countered because you want to just take his head off? Or do you do like Virgil Ortiz did against Madrimov and stay patient and deal with this test of your character, your will, your IQ, your patience, all of that things? Conversely, for Shakur, can you execute like you do against Yoshino and Padley and all these guys when, as Gervonta says, those bullets start flying back?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Right. Can you? Because that's the question they both have to answer. I do feel like, yeah, and if they come in at 80% and it's and they're not, that's going to favor Shakur and Gervonta, because if they both come in with their low output, that's going to favor Shakur. Gervonta is going to have to be the guy, like in the Frank Martin fight, cutting distance from the opening bell, fighting with
those
a little bit of fire a little bit, and putting
those real sharp
combinations
counter
together.
punches, those real sharp counter punches to the body, like stuff like that.
Everything. He's going to have to throw the kitchen sink to crack that defense to solve that calculus. I just hope we get it after this fight. Fans could play the finger pointing game. Gervonta doesn't really want it. Sometimes he lends credence to that. He says he's not interested in being the best and all. It's just basically about the money. And then Shakur, you go over with Eddie Hearn and you're talking about Zepeda and all that. Both of yous need to fight each other like ASAP.
So. Yeah. And best of luck to Lamont Roach in this fight. I wish him the best. I got a lot of respect for him for like the path he's taken in his career, being self-promoted at times. But he's probably more than likely he's probably not going to win. So this is my cry to all parties involved: Al Heyman, Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn, James Prince, our good buddy Kenny Buhari. Anybody who has a say, please stop wasting time with this damn fight. Make Shakur versus Tank quickly and next, because Shakur's hands.
Why not next? Why not?
Shakur's hands might not allow him to see 30. He's 27 now. He might not even see 30 the way he's talking. He's already talking about, I gotta call Floyd to save my career, to figure out how to save my career. So before he figures that out, make the damn fight.
Get that Novocaine for the hands.
Yes, get the Novocaine, lidocaine, whatever cane you need.
Yeah, just not cocaine.
Just not cocaine.
No, of course not. But
get it together, because we want to see this fight. This is a fight that I think would be great for boxing, and particularly boxing in the States, which is something that me and you really have been banging the drum about recently. But
my final prediction then: Tank by middle round knockout. And you talked about how Roach's money shot is the left hook. Roach, because his reflexes aren't amazing, he's got good reflexes, but he does what Marco Antonio Barrera, and actually what a lot of Mexican fighters used to do back in the day. You punch and you turn the head to the side like that.
You roll the shots.
You roll the shot.
Yeah.
That could be a problem for him in a certain sequence. Trying to get that left hook off, and that brick actually finds him when he thinks he's safe rolling the shot. Anyway, I got Gervonta by middle round knockouts between 6 and 9.
Okay, I'm going to go with...
But it'd be nice to see him start fast and maybe even take Roach out, but Tank, he's a slow starter, so.
Okay. Damn, I have middle round, so my prediction was Tank 6th round stoppage.
I like it.
Six round stoppage. I think too, like to your point about the rolling the shots, Tank is really good at picking up on patterns, so he may just throw a nice little throwaway shot to make you do that, and then bang, he may come around the guard with the right hook or an uppercut, or depending on where he's at, positionally speaking. So I hope it's a great fight. I hope it winds up being a much better fight than we think.